please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Hello everyone, welcome back to a Megon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Today we're going to respond to a video that I cannot find any other content for of the user whose @handle is actually in the video we're going to look at today. It is the only one and it concerns misgendering. This has become quite a persistent problem for many who do not care for being misgendered. So much so they end up sitting in their car, which is often the case, we've covered it here and on Rumble, to then bleat on about how this happened, providing no actual fact, evidence, data to back up what they say, or only assert from anecdotal evidence some kind of larger problem, while making themselves look either as strong or as weak as possible. Some because they want to stand up and be that person, not a Karen, but a bit of a Karen. Or be a victim because they can use all the victim points they can on TikTok because they can espouse their beliefs and not be held really accountable for the most part. Now, I mentioned I can't find a video or any other videos of this user. It's more than likely because after this was released and it's doing its rounds again after a bit of a gap, they simply removed themselves because sensitive, and criticism is, well, haram.
I was just misgendered in my local Fed-Ex.
Usually with videos we've covered on this particular subject, there's more emotion in the delivery as opposed to a very dead delivery, which totally is not suspicious in the slightest. But if at any point it looks like she's reading from a script, he is reading from a script, they are reading from a script, it is reading from a script, and I'll continue with all the other genders if you wish. You have not told me your pronouns and I can't find anything to confirm it yet. I haven't got far enough in your video either. By all means correct me, I actually don't give a crap. But if it looks like a script is being read, you are welcome to believe in that susness.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad we're in agreement.
The woman behind the counter asked her coworker, "Did you help that guy yet?"
Listen carefully, my dude. Guy can be quite gender neutral, really. Granted, it is predominantly used on those that present as male. I've chosen those words on purpose, or men in general. You do look like a male. To an extent, your voice, no way. Not even remotely. You could force your voice to sound deeper, but I'll be honest, whenever anyone does that, they just sound like every single female villain from any TV show or movie. I should also add, if you feel this is such a big deal, you perhaps should have led with, my gender, my pronouns are this, this, and this. Yes, that might make things a bit simpler and run less of a risk of you getting offended when someone says guy to you, my dude.
And after further observation, she goes, "Or lady."
I kinda get that as well, to be honest. You do look, if I'm going based on physical observations, yes, and no, I am not now saying this to tear you down, you do look like a cliche 80s and 90s lesbian. Short hair, slightly butch presentation, a little bit chubby but not too chubby, masculine features to an extent, not yet rocking the dad bod, wearing sweats, with a voice that can be slightly deeper than the average woman, but not so deep as to be presenting as anything other than slightly more masculine than their partner, who is typically, always invariably, very feminine. Not attacking appearance, just pointing out there are cliches and stereotypes, and you, based on the appearance alone, present as such. Again, unless you use yourself, your opportunity, your voice to formally introduce to those who really don't care because they're just customer service, and I promise you they won't care afterwards at all, you are to blame for anyone misgendering you, okay? Also, who cares what they say to each other? That's another part that needs to be mentioned. What they say to each other means sod all to you, but I guess when one seeks and demands and expects respect, as opposed to earning it, it's not surprising you'd be so easily offended.
See, immediately, my thoughts were, cancel this woman.
You know when some people say cancel culture isn't a thing? When one has the mind, the mentality, the initial response before they regain any semblance of control of, I'm going to destroy you now, but I'm going to use my Gen Z current year tactic of extremist attitude and measures to get you removed. Basically, in the context of a FedEx building, be a fucking Karen, which means using white female privilege. That's interesting, which was the millennials thing, of course, and is still a thing now because Karens. You'd be a good Karen. I'm sure you would. Yes, 100%. Amazeballs Karen. The point, though, of going or considering to go to the extreme shows a level of mental fragility and intellectual lacking, because there is a way around this. See, the high road exists, and I'm sure you explore it and we'll get to it later, no doubt, but all you have to do is do what you were supposed to do while you were there and leave, because what they do should be of no consequence to you and your own little echo chamber, Zorb, safe space-like existence in your car.
Ruin her entire life because she called me what I look like.
Do you remember earlier when I said that there might be a chance with the way someone looks that they're looking not at you, they're looking away, perhaps at a script? The delivery is monotone and something about that doesn't quite, well, it's a little sus. There's a reason for that. You see, everything so far hasn't been what it seems, right? I can make my longer drawn out points because of how certain generational behavioral traits present themselves. The reason I mention this is because this individual isn't one of them.
Just kidding. That's what y'all would do. I, on the other hand, am aware that I look like a guy. Look at me! Am I a guy? Nope, just a dyke.
There's a larger message to add to this, which we'll get to in a moment, but I will admit, when I first saw this video, watching it before responding that is, I will admit I didn't see it coming. Mostly because I've gotten so used to people being absolute smegheads that from time to time one does slip through the cracks, almost unnoticed, because they show you just how ridiculous others look. And while not the most expertly delivered, it is still refreshing nonetheless to have something presented as one thing that is in fact the complete opposite.
But this is your message. If you look like a guy, they're gonna call you a guy. If you look like a chick, they're gonna call you a chick, regardless of what you identify as.
100%. That is exactly what the peasantry will do. If you seek to get offended by what you hear, or if that is the one thing you're going to be angry about, I think you're going to find life remarkably complicated. And that's because you're already stymied at an earlier stage in, let's say, social interaction and progression. Yes, in the sense that you are so stuck on yourself, you've yet to look at the world. Or you've looked at the world and gone, well, this is all easy. But me, I'm unique. No, humanity is not unique in the slightest. You're all disgusting, you're all born, you all live for a certain number of years, and then you all expire, because you're too dumb to have worked out how to make your own Horcruxes yet. And of course, one here high has the potential to expedite this at an alarming rate if you vote for me in 2024 No Lives Matter.
Okay? And stop taking it so personally. In fact, you'd be a little happier if you could laugh sometimes. Laugh at it. Haha, it's funny. It's funny, okay? It's funny. Just saying. Okay, bye.
I wonder how many people saw the whole video and thought, yeah, no, you're hateful. You're not one of us. You're a part of the LGBT community, but you're not one of us. Which would invariably lead to one, well, obvious conclusion. That person would be considered not allowed to be a part of the LGBT and all the other letters community. Because being L means they have to take an L. Being L means they're not as marginalized as anyone else because they're first on the LGBT letter thingamajiggy train. Yes? It always ends up with someone coming along and saying, I'm more oppressed than you. I am more, let's say, unique than you because I'm all these other things that you aren't. So your opinion means nothing. So while it is refreshing to see these kind of opinions under the guise of building up to something, it's a shame that we currently live in a situation or an environment where we know it ultimately accomplishes nothing because TikTok and because current generation are more interested in finding unique ways of standing out but simultaneously retaining their introvertedness, standing out and also begging for clout because that is more important to them than working on themselves or working a job.